Hey guys, I'm Dav, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Warriors of Chaos and big old derpy Big Bird here, going to be taking on the forces of the Empire, so let's go ahead and jump straight to the army compositions. Big Bird is my lord of choice here, as he is resistant to both magic and missiles, so he can be gooned by Balthasar Gelt, but it's a bit harder because he does have some magic resistance. He's also got missile resistance, so things like Hammer of Witches and Silver Bullets are going to do very little damage against him. In terms of the rest of the army composition, we've got a shielded front line mix of Chaos Warriors and Chosen. In the back, we've got the Summoners of Rage here, Regiment of Renowned Dragon Ogres, pretty much an auto pick in just about every matchup right now. We've also got a unit of Forsaken, didn't quite have the money for the Demon Spew, so just regular Forsaken in the back line. 2 units of Marauder Horsemen here, the same over here. We've also got Chaos Poison Warhounds way out to the flanks. Now that's it for my build. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Empire player. Up here, hidden in the woods, he does have a gaggle of state troops, some spearmen with shields, 3 of them, Sigmar's Sons, and a Witch Hunter. He's also got the Demigryph Knights with halberds, 2 Outriders, 2 more Outriders over here. He's got Knights of the Blazing Sun and Zintler's Reiksguard with an Empire Captain. You don't see these guys too often, and Balthasar Gelt. The Empire Captain is in a bit of a weird place, along with the Bretonnian Paladin and some of the other melee heroes from Game 1. A lot of the melee heroes from Game 2 carry halberds, so they have armor-piercing anti-large, whereas a lot of them from Game 1 do not. They just overall have worse combat stats, and I'm not the biggest fan. Empire Captains and Bretonnian Paladins, things like that, really aren't that great. In this matchup, though, especially on the Pegasus, this guy is going to be pretty good at helping to assassinate Big Bird. Of course, Big Bird doesn't have that great a combat stats. He does have 60 melee attack, but only 40 melee defense, so this Empire Captain should be able to get in there and get some work done. Doesn't necessarily need armor piercing, with that 85 charge bonus as well up on the Pegasus. Balthasar Gelt just carrying Final Transmutation and Transmutation of Lead. So let's go ahead and kick the battle into full gear. You can see I'm going to be pushing forward. I see there's a lot of cavalry here, and I see this one spearman, so I know there's something hidden in the woods up here, so I'm going to start pathing my infantry over in that direction. Meanwhile, we've got Marauder Horsemen moving up to do some skirmishing. We've also got some Hounds moving over to secure the flank. Just trying to get as much map control as possible. That way, anywhere he runs with these Outriders, I've got something to respond and pressure them. Meanwhile, some of the state troops are coming down off the hill here. Some of them still hanging back. We are going to path these Chaos Poison Warhounds up and discover the rest of the force hidden here in just a moment. Meanwhile, though, getting some axes thrown in at the Zintler's Reiksguard. Of course, they do have a missile block chance, so they'll be able to block some of those missiles, but they will still take a little bit of damage there. Dropped 1 unit model so far, so pretty good for us. Likewise, Outriders returning fire here. They're going to be pressuring my my Marauder Horsemen, so a nice skirmish phase going down, and you can see we're going to get a little bit of a melee engagement under here with these Marauders moving forward. I also dive Big Bird up here. I do see these Demigryph Knights, but we're going to drop an Overcast Plague of Rust to bring down their armor to only 65, so that Big Bird can do some more damage, though he is going to take quite a bit of damage here, so I'm going to start moving up my infantry in a supporting position. Meanwhile, over on this side, one of my units of Marauder Horsemen did get caught, but now we're going to try and catch out these Knights of the Blazing Sun with the Summoners of Rage. They do have some magic resistance, which will help mitigate the Summoners of Rage magic damage, but if we can catch them, of course, the armor-piercing anti-large and superior combat stats of the Summoners of Rage should win out. Reiksguard charging into the front line here, helping the state troops out, and Big Bird plowing back through the lines where the Marauders and the Forsaken are going to get in here and hold down these demis and these state troops. You can see the Marauder Hordes and the Chosen also coming in here as well. I really like Chosen Sword and Board quite a bit, especially if you're taking Big Bird where you have that Plague of Rust. You don't necessarily need AP, especially against factions that aren't pure heavy armor like the Empire. The Empire tends to bring a lot of low armor infantry. Great swords aren't super cost effective, so they're not a super common pick, but even if you do see great swords, you can drop that Overcast Plague of Rust. Looks like Balthasar Gelt going to be dropping a really nice Final Transmutation here, upgraded, doing a ton of damage, and some nice Withering Fire coming in from the Outriders on that flank as well. We're dropping a Searing Doom, meanwhile, over on some State Troop Spearmen, and dropping a Plague of Rust on these Zintler's Reiksguard in the back line. Meanwhile, way over on the far side, Summoners of Rage have caught these Knights of the Blazing Sun in what is a beautiful and cinematic combat with all these magical effects. Fire versus lightning, We've also got some Chaos Poison Warhounds and some Marauders in here helping, and yeah, those Knights of the Blazing Sun weren't going to win that fight. Likewise, Big Bird with his Plague of Rust here, got his wings out, going to be dropping it on the Zintler's Reichsguard here, just not allowing them to get out and get a clean charge. Demigryph Knights with Halberds, though, are moving into the back line to try and take down Big Bird. That being said, we're pushing through Marauders and Chosen, cutting through the state troops, no problem. The Sigmar Sons have now moved in to engage. They will beat Marauders, no doubt about it, but Chosen just have too much armor, and they have very high melee defense as well. Chosen are rocking a good 60 melee defense, so they're very tough to make solid contact with. We've been using the Marauders to just kind of chase around the Outriders. You can see we've got a hold of some out on the flank there. Those Knights of the Blazing Sun are shattered, and we're bringing back these Summoners of Rage to help support Big Bird here, so we're going to get a nice mobility engagement potentially. Yeah. The Witch Hunter's still online, still firing, but hasn't done that much damage as of yet. Outriders also doing some nice damage to those Forsaken. They might be able to get in on that Witch Hunter, but they've taken a lot of damage at this point. Empire Captain's going to come down and try and get in, but we're going to drop a Plague of Rust on him so that Big Bird can hit him a bit better. He's going to get a nice hit in there, and the Summoners of Rage are going to come down, or come over and start laying a beating on him, so he definitely needs to get the heck out of dodge, and yeah, he's going to try and do so here. But that is going to open me up to a rear charge from the Zintler's Reichsguard and the Demis. But you can see we've been able to break up this infantry pocket on the hill pretty effectively. Only the Sigmar Sons holding out against the Chosen there. And Big Bird really very aggressively going after this Empire Captain, while the Summoners of Rage handle the Zintler's Reichsguard and these Demigryph Knights. Demigryph Knights obviously will do quite well here, especially with the support of the Reichsguard to take some of the hits there, but it's not necessarily going to be a super cost-effective trade for either unit. You can see we have managed to catch the Witch Hunter here with the Forsaken, and going to be using the Marauders as well, since the Forsaken are likely to rout off at any moment. Hounds and Marauders over on the far side, cleaning up some Pistoliers, Outriders, not Pistoliers. That would be a little bit too memey, I think, against Chaos, but yeah, you can see the Chosen holding out very well here against the Sigmar Sons up on top of the hill. They managed to gain this little knoll high ground here, and are fighting downhill against the Sigmar Sons. Overcast, Transmutation of Lead here, doing a great job mitigating the combat stats of the Summoners of Rage, who I had pathed on an attack order to come help Big Bird, who's currently running for his life, but they did drop that attack order, unfortunately. That's one of the bugs that Creative Assembly didn't address in the last patch that I'm hoping they address in one of the hotfixes, or just as soon as possible. It seems especially bad when you're chasing routing units. I've had campaign games where I'll issue an attack order and my unit will almost immediately drop the attack order because the unit I issued the order onto was routing, and it seems like routing units are, when you're chasing routing units, you're a lot more likely to drop your attack orders, but still, just dropping attack orders in general. Big Bird is going to go down there as he was way too low, but at this point we're far enough ahead on the balance power that it's not going to matter too much. That Plague of Rust is still active on this Empire Captain, so even though all these troops are non-armor piercing, he is still going to take quite a bit of damage there, only 25 armor with that Overcast Plague of Rust. So he's down and out for the count. The Witch Hunter's still online. There are still Sigmar Sons fighting Chosen up on the hill, man. This is the fight that just never ends. And I'm surprised how well these Sigmar Sons have traded with the Chosen, considering how heavy of an infantry the Chosen are. I mean, they're 120 armor, and not all that damage was done by the Sigmar Sons, but the Sigmar Sons, with their great combat stats, definitely performing admirably there. Balthasar Gelt gonna dive down, try and spring this Witch Hunter free in an act of desperation, but it's too little too late at this point. The forces of Balthasar are going to fall to the Warriors of Chaos here today, and in what was a awesome metal battle, a duel of the metal sorcerers, if you will, Big Bird, though he fell, his army is going to come out on top. I guess you could argue that Balthasar survived, so he won. But in terms of the battle itself, the forces of Chaos definitely carrying the day here, chasing stuff off the side all around, and just trying to clean up these last Sigmar Sons. The Witch Hunter then shatters, Balthasar decides to give up the fight, and now it's just going to be the Sigmar Sons. So we'll go ahead and fast forward through the end there, and that's it. Victory for Chaos. So very well played to my opponent. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. It was a super fun battle. A nice mobility build from my opponent, and I do think it's a pretty powerful build against Chaos. It ended up being a little bit rough for him. Some engagements didn't quite turn out like he would have liked. Zintler's Reichsguard, though, 87 kills, only 33 on the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Those guys definitely got the butt end of the stick against the Summoners of Rage there. Demigryph Knights, only 5 kills, but did manage to get an XP Chevron, helping do a bunch of work against Big Bird. But really, the infantry line, I was able to win very decisively. I mean, he did get some good work done with the Outriders, but the fact that I was able to chase him around with my mobility phase and kind of zone them out, and then isolate and beat down the Knights away from that infantry engagement, that allowed my, you can see Berserker, sorry, not Berserkers, just regular Marauders, 101 kills, not too bad, 80 and 66 on the Chosen, just beat down those state troops in the front line, 67 on the Windchudger, not too bad, and 87 on Balthasar Gelt himself, pretty good. You know, not the best performance, but both of them definitely carrying some weight. It was just getting let down a little bit by those Knights of the Blazing Sun, and I mean, the Demis did okay, but just wasn't quite enough in the end. And then also the investment of the Outriders, it proved to be a little bit rough, and this is why it's always a toss-up. You know, I had that Freudian slip, I guess you could call it, and said Pistoliers halfway through the game, but I almost like Pistoliers better for certain things in this matchup. Certainly, you're probably going to be facing against some armored infantry, so you do want some kind of armor-piercing missiles. So maybe 1 to 2 Outriders, but then if you take 1 to 2 Pistoliers instead, you're saving a little bit of money, number one, so you can potentially spend that elsewhere, like upgrading these guys to the Royal Altdorf Gryphites, for example, would be a really, really good idea. But if you have the Pistoliers, they're a little bit better at contesting the mobility phase against Marauder Horsemen. They won't win in melee, but because they can fire in 360, and they have about the same range, I don't remember if it's exactly the same, but it's pretty close to the Marauders. You can usually fire while you're skirmishing, and Outriders, they can fire while they're moving, but they don't have a 360-degree firing arc, whereas the Pistoliers do. So maybe a mix of Pistoliers and Outriders would be better in this matchup. I know Pistoliers previously were a bit of a meme unit, but honestly, they're not terrible right now. They do a pretty decent amount of damage, and they're relatively accurate. I like them in a multitude of matchups, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Would you mix Outriders and Pistoliers, or would you go with something completely different, like all, you know, no skirmishers at all, just super heavy on the cavalry, or maybe you go with handgunners and Free Company militia, just to go a bit wider and try and not contest the mobility phase quite so much. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thank you once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.